Hello everyone. From today we are going to see wind energy conversion systems. So this is a topic which we have. This is a subject which we are dealing for this semester. So I'll be your instructor for the next semester, total semester. So the first thing is wind energy conversion systems. Why are we going for this wind energy conversion systems? Now, the depletion of fossil fuels led to non-conventional sources, right? We know this. This depletion of the fossil fuels are getting depleted day by day, and whatever the amount of fossil fuel that is being present is getting depleted day by day, which because of which we are going for the other sources of energy, that is non-conventional sources of energy. Now, why are we going to the non-conventional sources of energy? Means these are basically a non-pollutant energies. That means will not have any byproducts, will not have anything pollutants from these types of energies, and they are available in abundance and they can get renewed. That means they after if you just use wind or if you just use solar up to some extent, after this what do you say usage, these can be replenished after some time. Like if you say you have used the wind right now, maybe in a day or two that amount of wind will be renewed. Okay, so that is how these non-conventional energy sources are working. That is why we are going for this for these type of sources, energy sources. Now, then why are we going to the wind? Again, why are we going for the wind? Exactly why are we going for the wind means the maximum amount of energy that can be extracted from 0 to 100-meter layer of air is 10 to the power of 12 kilowatt hour per annum. That means 0 to 100-meter layer of air means if you take 0 as your ground level and you go 100 meters above in the vertical direction, that is into the atmosphere. If you just look at the this 0 to 100 meters of layer of air, what is the amount of energy that can be extracted means that is equals to 10 power 12 kilowatt hour per annum, which is almost equal to hydroelectric potential. Whatever the hydroelectric potential we are producing right now, that is equal to this 0 to 100-meter layer of air, the amount of energy present in this 0 to 100-meter layer of air. So we can tap wind energy equal to hydroelectric energy, and these sorry, this wind energy is an economically viable supplementary source of energy. This wind energy is economically viable supplementary source of energy. Basically, how is this wind energy being produced? What is this wind energy? That is what next topic is. The wind is a byproduct of solar energy. Approximately 2% of the sun's energy reaching the earth is converted into wind energy. So why are we saying that the wind energy is a byproduct of solar energy means the surface of earth heats and cools unevenly, creating atmospheric pressure zones that make air flow from high to low pressure areas. When the sun is when the earth is getting heated because of sun, this will be happening unevenly because some areas we may find forest, right? In those forest areas the sun will not penetrate, the sun rays will not penetrate. That means the heat which they experience, the forest area will experience, is much lesser than a normal region. So because of these temperature differences, there will be pressure differences created. Because of these pressure differences, we know that the air flows from high pressure area to low pressure area. So because of these pressure differences, there will be a air flow from high pressure areas to low pressure areas. Now, now, next thing which we need to understand is wind has played an important role in the human history of human civilization. This wind energy has been a part and parcel of our lives even before we understood its importance. Like even before we understood that electricity can be produced using this wind, even before that, we know this wind energy has been a part and parcel of our lives. of our human civilization. How are these things? How did we utilize without converting it into electrical energy? That we'll see. Before the invention of the steam engine, wind power had been used for centuries for sailing ships, pumping water, and grinding grain. So even before the invention of steam engine, even before that, we used this wind energy to sail ships, pumping water, and grinding grain. So these are the applications even before we have used for electrical production. Now, historical background. The first known use of wind dates back to 500 years to 5000 years to Egypt. That means before 5000 years itself in Egypt, where boats are used sails to travel, where boats use sails to travel from shore to shore. They used sail is nothing but a pole with a cloth, right? We have seen sails many times in movies and everything. So those sails are set up in order to make the boat from moving from one place to another place. Okay, the first true windmill, a machine with vanes connected to its axis to produce circular motion, may have been built as early as 2000 BC. That means in 2000 BC itself we had a windmill. In ancient Babylon, by 10th century AD, windmills with wind catching surfaces having 16 feet high and 16 feet length and 30 feet height were grinding grain in areas in eastern Iran and Afghanistan. So, the earliest written references to working wind machines in the Western world date from the 12th century. By just looking at all this information, we can say that wind has been a part and parcel of the human civilization even before we used it for electrical production. Now, what is the amount of power contained in the wind? We are saying that the wind has so much of power and we can tap the power and all those things. But we need to have some numbers. We need to have a mathematical approach by which we can understand what is the power contained in the wind. So this gives us this equation gives us that mathematical evidence or mathematical proof. Now, power contained by the wind is given by the kinetic energy of flow of air per mass unit. So that is true. Wind energy is nothing but the kinetic energy flowing flowing air per mass unit. So kinetic energy means half mv square. So half into air mass per unit time into v square means wind velocity square. So this is the equation. Here you see how we are representing each different terms. Like P naught is the wind contained in the wind. Sorry, power contained in the wind in watts. Rho is the air density, and A is the rotor area. V infinity is the wind velocity without rotor interference. That means without disturbing anything. The natural wind speed is nothing but V infinity. Aerodynamics of wind. So if you just look at what are the different forces that are being, that are acting upon one object means because of wind. What are the different parts, what are the different forces means? First one is called as a thrust force, second one is called as a weight, third is drag, and fourth one is lift. So thrust is nothing but the mechanical force generated by the engines to move the aircraft through the air. So whatever we are doing, that is whatever the force we are using to move through the air is called as a thrust force. Okay, and a lift force, weight, and drag force. Drag force is nothing but the force which is dragging the element to go in the same direction as the wind. That means it is just pushing the element into the direction of the wind. The force which pushes the element in the direction of wind is called as a drag force. And lift force is the force which tries to lift the object perpendicular to the wind speed. Tries to lift the object perpendicular to the wind speed. And weight is nothing but the gravitational pull which we have because of the mass contained. Now, what happens if one of these dominate the other? Let us see. So, if the lift dominates the weight, then the plane rises. The lift dominates the weight, then the plane arises. If the weight is greater than the lift, that is, weight dominates the lift, the plane falls. If drag is greater than the thrust, plane slows down. That means if the drag force is greater than the thrust force, the plane is dragged back, so it will slow down. If the thrust is greater than the drag, then the plane accelerates. If the thrust force is greater than the drag force, then the plane moves in the direction of the thrust force. So these are the different forces that are being acted upon on an element when wind is being flown on that element. Now, there are different types of wind energy conversion devices. What are these and how are these being constructed? All those things we'll see. Now, the first thing is called as an horizontal axis wind turbines. The second is called as the vertical axis wind turbines. Based upon the name itself, you can say if the axis of the wind turbine is horizontal, you can say that that type of wind turbine is called as a horizontal axis wind turbine. If the axis of the wind turbine is vertical, you can say that the wind turbine is the vertical axis wind turbine. Now, what are the different types of horizontal axis wind turbines we have means? The first one is called as the Dutch type grain grinding windmill. Dutch type grain grinding windmill. The second one is the multi-blade wind water pumping windmills. Multi-blade water pumping windmills. The third one is called as the high speed propeller type windmills. High speed propeller type windmills. If you just look at these names itself, you can say that the Dutch type windmill is used for grain grinding and multi-blade windmill is used for water pumping. And then coming to the vertical axis wind turbines, we have the Savonius rotor and the Darius rotor. We'll see each of this in detail in the coming sections. Now, if you just look at this diagram, if you just look at this animation, you can see how the different types of wind turbines are being present. If you see the left one is the Savonius vertical axis wind turbine, you can see that the axis is vertical and the blades are being put together in the same direction. Now, modern horizontal axis wind turbine is the second one, and the third one is the Darius vertical axis wind turbine. Coming to the horizontal axis wind turbines, the first type which we are seeing is the Dutch type windmill. If you just look at the diagram, you can see that this wind turbine has four blades which are inclined at an angle to the plane of rotation. They are just slightly inclined to the angle of inclined at an angle to the plane of rotation. This has only four blades. Now, these wind turbines are mainly used for grain grinding. Now, these operate on the principle of thrust. The blades which are present in this horizontal axis wind turbine, that is a Dutch type windmill, are sails or wooden slats. So, sails can be used as the blades or wooden slats. Simply a wood structure can be used as a blade. The inclination in the direction of wind made manually in early stages. What happens is if you just look at this construction and everything, these are like a fixed construction, right? So in order to make sure that we are extracting a large amount of power from the wind, this wind turbine has to be inclined in the direction of the wind. This turbine has to be inclined in the direction of the wind. This inclination of the turbine in the direction of the wind was done manually in the earlier stages. Later it was done mechanically, and how is that we'll see. So we are going to have two fans, the main fan as well as the tail fan. And we are going to make these fans in such an arrangement that they are almost perpendicular to each other. If you just look at this diagram in the slide, you can see that the main fan is there, and perpendicular to that we will have a tail fan. Now, how does this work means this fan tail system is used for the direction orientation. The main fan, if the main fan is in the direction of wind, then the tail fan will not have any wind. Okay, if the main fan is in the direction of wind, then the tail fan will not have any wind. If the main fan is not having any wind, then the tail fan will be having some wind. So because of this wind or no wind condition, we can just change the direction of the main fan using mechanical parts. If you just look at this diagram, you know what are the different parts are being used and how this can be done. Next topic which we are going to discuss, next type of horizontal axis wind turbine which we are going to discuss is the multi-blade water pumping windmills. Here, if you just look at the diagram itself says that there are more than four blades, right? In the Dutch type windmill, we had only four blades. Now, here the name itself indicates that it is multi-blade, so we'll have multiple number of blades. Okay, so that is the first thing which we need to understand. That is, large number of blades are present. Next, wooden or metallic slats are being used as blades here. Whatever the blades are there, those are wooden or metallic slats. Now here, what is the application for this multi-blade wind turbine means? Reciprocating pump is the application for the multi-blade wind turbine. That means you will have a pump by which we can just draw the water. In order to draw the water, we are going to construct this multi-blade water pumping windmill. Because of this, drawing the water, this windmill has to be directly above the well. So our main concern here will be water availability, not windiness. That means even if the wind speeds are less, even in those conditions we are going to establish this multi-blade water pumping windmill if there is water available. If there is water available. So here our main concern is water availability rather than windiness, right? So because of this structure, this windmill should be able to operate at low wind speeds. Should be able to operate at low wind speeds. Because of this condition, we are going to have more blades than the Dutch type windmill. So here our main concern is the water availability, because of which what we are going to do is we are going to make sure that this multi-blade wind turbine acts in the low wind speed conditions. In order to make sure that even at the low wind speed conditions this acts, we are going to add more number of blades, because of which there will be a high torque produced. There will be a high torque produced. Here, because of this structure, that means we are having so many blades, right? So because of this structure, we are calling this multi-blade water pumping windmill as fan mill also. We are calling this as fan mill also. Now, where do we establish this type of multi-blade water pumping windmills? Means we are going to establish them at remote places where single units need to be established, and reliability and sturdiness are the main concerns, not efficiency. Where single units are being established in remote places, and the reliability and sturdiness are our main concerns, not efficiency. Here, water availability, reliability and sturdiness are the main concerns, not efficiency of the multi-blade water pumping windmill. Here, if you just look at this diagram, you can see that whatever the wooden or metallic slats are present, these are connected using a using a metallic ring. Why are we connecting this using a metallic ring? Means because of this large number of blades present, these blades do not have any design aspects. They do not have any design aspects. They are just having some normal structures. Because of this, in order to maintain the shape of these in order to maintain these windmills, we need to have, in order to avoid the breakage of the blades, we need to have a metallic ring arranged such that help us to have a sturdy structure. Okay, next, how do we do the orientation? How do we keep that? How do we make sure that this turbine is always, this windmill is always in the direction of wind? Means we are using a tail vane structure. What does this tail vane structure do? Protection against high winds and storms. This tail vane is a little off axis from the main rotor. So this tail vane is little off axis from the main rotor, and it helps us to protect against high winds and storms. Orientation. How are we doing the orientation using this tail vane? Means this orientation is a combination of axial thrust on the rotor and the thrust on the tail vane. So we are going to take the combination of axial thrust on the rotor. Axial thrust means the thrust along the axis on the rotor, as well as the thrust on the tail vane. Because the combination of these two will be analyzing continuously and adjusting the orientation of the windmill. When does what parameter will be what do you say, dominating in which condition? Means when there are low winds, the thrust on the tail vane will be dominating, and the rotor will be moved in the direction of wind. Okay. So when there are low wind speeds, the thrust on the tail vane will be more, and because of which the rotor will be moved in the direction of wind. At high speeds, at high wind speeds, what happens means the direction, at high wind speeds, the axial thrust on the rotor will itself be more. At high wind speeds, the axial thrust on the rotor itself will be more. Because of which, what happens is we are going to move the direction of the wind speed. Sorry, we are going to move the direction of the windmill away from the wind speed. Okay, away from the wind speed. So at high wind speeds, we are going to move away from the direction to protect the windmill. That is how we are going to orient the windmill always in the direction of wind speed and protect the windmill at higher wind speeds. This is also a thrust based operated machine. We'll see the other types of wind turbines in the coming classes. So that's it for today's class.